So on page 95, he talks about social justice, which I think is a very interesting idea that's very pervasive nowadays. And unfortunately, so many people have never read F.A. Hayek's essay on social justice. And I think if they did, things would be very different today. But Mises makes a point about social justice too, and I wanted to include it. So recall what's been already discussed in terms of people who don't do well in this world are indoctrinated in school to believe that it's not their fault. It's not on any deficiency on their part. It's actually the fault of the system or society or the economic system or whatever it might be. It's always kind of there's always a scapegoat created, and there's an attempt to kind of fog or misdirect the real causes, right? So the people who are more the intellectuals and the people who are more knowledgeable, they often willingly, often maliciously, they will tell other people that the cause of their plight is not theirs. It's actually something else. And then those intellectuals control that group. So you think of like Al Sharpton and feminists and people like that. They control people through their false rhetoric, and they make them turn around and point and look at something else that's actually not the cause of their problem. And so they're doing a disservice, I think, to the 21st century. And anyways, so Mises on page 95, so I'll just read a bit of this. So he says, they knew very well that they were either not bright enough or not industrious enough, but they were eager not to avow their inferiority both to themselves and to their fellow men and to search for a scapegoat. They consoled themselves and tried to convince other people that the cause of their failure was not their own inferiority, but the injustice of society's economic organization. Under capitalism, they declared, self-realization is only possible for the few. And then now he quotes from Lasky in the Liberty in the Encyclopedia of the Social Science. And so the quote is, liberty in a laissez-faire society is attainable only by those who have the wealth or opportunity to purchase it, unquote. And then Mises continues, hence they concluded the state must interfere in order to realize, quote, social justice. What they really meant was, in order to give to the frustrated mediocrity according to his needs. And so I know this point has been discussed before, but I thought, again, this is interesting because what we really have with social justice is we have demagogues, in a sense, standing up and trying to lead a mob of people towards what they think is an ideal society. And really what it is, it's a misdirection. And they're lying to these people because they're desperate and in a poor situation. And they're trying to then offset their own either inferiority or it's not always inferiority. It also just could be bad decisions and bad advice given, of course, by these intellectuals. And they're told that no, their problems are actually caused by something external. And then you get the kind of nihilism that comes out of statements like, don't blame me, blame society. So when people engage in violence or theft or burglary or worse, they say, oh, don't blame me, I had a bad childhood, or it's just society's oppression of my minority status or whatever it might be. You get that approach and attitude to life occurring. And I think it's these intellectuals that are creating these mobs and controlling these desperate people and giving them a false narrative.